Every night in America, 24 million kids go to bed without their fathers. Yes, I'll agree there's a lot of those fathers that walked away, but out of 24 million, there are millions of fathers that desperately want to be a part of their kids' lives. In 2010, I became one of those fathers. My son was taken from me for 204 days. And during that period, I remember night after night going to bed thinking, I wonder if my son's going to grow up, wondering if I ever wanted to be a part of his life. So I started writing a journal to my son every night before I went to bed. I tried to write it in such a way that I didn't de-edify his mom. I've always believed that kids should be able to have a right to be able to love both their parents equally without having any sense of guilt about that love with the other parent. So I started keeping those notes just as a way to keep in contact with him that I'd give him someday when he got older. I'd write down what I did during the day and how different things I did would make me think about him and make me wonder what would it be like to be able to watch him grow up and be a part of his life. Shortly after I was diagnosed with an inoperable cyst in my brain. Some friends had started noticing that I was deteriorating in my speech. My short-term memory was shot. I started noticing extreme fatigue. There were days when I would be in bed for literally 18 hours and there was no gutting up. My body was shutting down. And I still will never forget as my body deteriorated progressively. One conversation in particular I had with the doctors where they had asked me, they knew that I had a son, and they said, do you have your affairs in order? And I'll never forget that night laying in bed and all the thoughts that go through your mind. One of the biggest thoughts is my son growing up without a dad. What are the things that he would have wanted to ask me that I wouldn't be there to be able to answer? So at that point in the journal that I had started writing to him, it became even more important. I started putting more notes into my journal of different fatherly advice and mentoring advice that I would want my son to know. In case I wasn't there, I wanted my parents to be able to read those excerpts to my son. Different things on dating advice, different financial advice, different business advice, all kinds of different life lessons that I wanted him to be able to know. As my health improved, I started taking advantage of some of the political connections that I had had from my past and working together with a team of people to try and get legislation passed to be able to give kids equal access to both parents. And we did have some pretty good success, and now it's gone on nationwide. I believe last year we had 37 bills nationwide working on shared parenting. Many people were approaching me telling me I needed to write a book. But to be honest, I felt a little guilty trying to write a book about my personal story. But when I started thinking about the journal, I thought, that is the book. That's something that I don't have to get into the nitty-gritty details of my story. I can just share some of the life lessons. And there's 18 different life lessons that actually come from the journal itself that I've written over the last 7 years to my son. And the goal of the book is to inspire parents everywhere to be able to think about that. What are the life lessons that their kids are learning from them? I think they're good tips, not so much that I came up with anything new, but a lot of times it's not the things we need to learn, but it's the principles that we need to be reminded of on a regular basis. Another big goal of the book is to be able to use the proceeds to be able to help raise awareness and help pass legislation for shared parenting. If you'd like to help with this process, we would sure appreciate the help. There is a Facebook page set up, In Case I'm Not Here. The total book is titled In Case I'm Not Here, Life Lessons from a Father to His Son. But if you go to the Facebook page, there is a place on there for GoFundMe where you can contribute to the cause. We would sure appreciate your help. Think about it. If you didn't know for sure that you were going to be around when your kids were in junior high and high school, what are the life principles and life lessons that you would want to make sure that you left behind?